Suzuki. Caufield s'avance. Le tir! Ma parole, c'est fait! De Maurice à Boum Boum, à Guy, à Steve, à Pierre, à Stéphane, à Cole, le flambeau est passé! 50 buts!
Something felt different in the Bell Center the night Cole Caufield hit 50. Not just the crowd, not just the moment, but the weight of it. Like the ghosts of the Forum finally exhaled. For years, the aura has been hanging over this team. Expectations, legends, standards set by generations of Montreal Canadiens greatness. But this felt like acceptance. Like those ghosts finally looked down and said, all right, this group gets it. The culture, the core, the belief. It's back. And now, maybe for the first time in a long time, the Canadiens aren't chasing history. They're ready to add to it.
Marshall Breakaway Podcast with your hosts Nick and Junior and producer Vince, bringing you elite fantasy hockey information to help you win your fantasy leagues and win at life.
Episode 160 of the Partial Breakaway Fantasy Hockey Podcast. I'm co-host Junior, going through puberty, accompanied by co-host Nick and producer Vince. This is episode 160. For all your info, all our clips, please follow us on social media at Partial Break Pod on Instagram, X, TikTok. Like and subscribe on YouTube. That always goes a long way. How we doing, fellas? Nick, happy Easter, or Orthodox Easter.
Thank you. Christos Anesi, to all of you that celebrate. And to those that don't, well, I hope you still had a very good Saturday, Sunday weekend. Vince, you there?
50 goals, baby. It was great.
Wasn't only 50 goals. 50 goals...
51
points.
now.
Yeah, 51, 101 points. Everything that we spoke about. Remember the question I asked you? Would you guys rather have Caufield score 50, Suzuki hit 100, or Slav hit 30? Well, they all hit it. So we got
Slav or Slav?
Slav.
Love it, guys.
Should we get right into it then?
This is long, so go ahead.
It's going to be a good one. I think we see quite a few guys that are entering the NHL, like we said last week, right? That are putting a stamp on the NHL, like, hey, we've arrived. So that's been really, really fun to watch. I was just watching the Vancouver game with Anaheim. Seneca has 60 points. I think Demidov has 61. Like, we're talking about some crazy rookie numbers. So, Dynasty Leagues, this one's for you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Odd Man Rush, where we take news and notes and trends of the NHL and turn them into 30-second takes, which usually last 3 minutes. This segment is sponsored from Sportira. Visit their website at www.sportira.com for all your apparel and team uniform needs. Follow them on Instagram as well at sportira.apparel. Guys, 50 goals for Caufield. 51 actually now. Did you actually think this would ever have happened? Because I remember saying to myself, Caufield, he's probably going to be a 40-goal scorer in the NHL, and that's going to be really fun to watch. Now we're at 50. We even had some text messages from Toronto Maple Leafs fans that were saying, congrats on a 50-goal scorer, which was nice to see. Slafkovsky hitting 30. I mean, that's everything that we wanted from Slafkovsky. Like, I remember saying Landeskog, maybe he turns into a Landeskog. He put up Landeskog-type numbers kind of this year, right? 30 goals plus another 40 or so assists. Hutson ties Larry Robinson for the most assists in a season by Habs D. I saw an interview where he said, he doesn't really like focus on that stuff, but it's cool to see because it's such a historic franchise. And Suzuki 100 points, which is the first guy since Mats Naslund to do that.
Wow.
So, guys, I just want your takes
Mhm.
here because obviously this is kind of a historic season. We're seeing the window open for this Habs team to take the next step. It comes with a couple of injuries, by the way, but we'll talk about that later. Vince, what do you think about this Habs team, and why do you feel good about it? By the way, Caufield is a Bergevin pick, and Suzuki was a Bergevin trade. Go on,
Okay.
tell me your thoughts.
Suzuki. So first off, Suzuki came because Vegas didn't want to give us Blast,
Yeah.
and Caufield
Hearsay,
was not
hearsay,
a
hearsay.
Caufield was not a Bergevin pick. It was who was the scout that we had? Who's the
Trevor
head
Timmins.
scout that we had? Yeah, Trevor
Trevor
Timmins,
Timmins.
because the year before, Bergevin picked McCarron over another player. So don't start with this whole Bergevin take. No, I'm not going to say it. Listen, it's been an exciting week for Habs fans. It's something we haven't seen in decades, and it all came all at once. I remember saying that Slav was going to be the next guy to hit 50 goals for Montreal. I think 2 seasons ago on this podcast, and that Caufield was going to hover around the 40 goals. But I mean, Caufield, he's got to prove it that he can do it over and over again. I'm not saying be an Ovechkin, but if he can stay around the 45 to 50 goals every year, I mean, that's it's just an accomplishment that we were waiting for. We were thirsty for something like this, and we were never getting it. We were close with Kovalev when Kovalev came, when PK Subban was on the team. But I mean, just to get all four of these things going on, five, even if you add Demidov. So you have Caufield 50 goals, Suzuki 100 points, Hutson tying Larry Robinson's record for assists, Slav getting 30 goals, and Demidov over 60 points as a rookie. I mean, all in all, it's all coming together, and it's great to be a Habs fan now. And it was I,
It was
the
some
owners.
lean years, some lean years.
Yeah, exactly. And but listen, the ownership and the we got to give credit to the ownership, to Jeff Molson also, because he decided that, you know what, we're done with the way we were doing things, and I'm gonna hire someone like Gorton to run it and run it properly, because he's done it before. He did it in Boston. He did it with the New York Rangers uh, organization. And listen, all these things came with risks. Gorton hiring Hughes as a first-time GM from being a player agent. Hughes hiring Saint Louis, who his coaching experience was coaching his kids' AAA team before that. So I mean, it all came together for Montreal, and then whatever they had in the pipeline came, and listen, it's just exciting to be a Habs fan. It's and to Habs fan, enjoy the moment, because we never know when these moments are gonna come back. So enjoy the moments, and don't. I sometimes I hear on the radio and I'm like, okay, they made the playoffs, but temper your expectations. Don't temper. I was one of the guys that always tempered my expectations with the Habs when it came to statistically, with players, when it came to the team, because in your head, oh well, no, this is not the year, this is not the year, and you want to pick the year that they're going to be competitive. But don't do that. Don't do that with this team. This Habs team worked their butts off to be where they are now, and I don't care who they play in the first round. Whoever they play, they have a chance to win. So don't temper expectations. Enjoy the playoffs. Enjoy the run. Enjoy the emotions you're going to go through in this playoffs, because there will be high and low emotions, and just enjoy it. And hopefully, this window, like Nick says, is opened for like 10 years, and that in those 10 years we can get that holy grail that we've been waiting to bring back to Montreal.
Why not? Why not the Habs? You never know. You never know. Like you
Yeah,
said, we've been waiting for this. Like, we've always had Carey Price, and we We always loved what he could do, and we knew he could win games, let alone games. He could win series on his own, our best goal scorer was Max Pacioretty, who hit 39 goals, didn't even hit 40. This just I said that blurb because it honestly feels different from top to bottom, from management to players to, even the stories you hear from training staff. Even like they're talking about Patrick Laine, who's obviously an odd man out on this team, as one of the best teammates they have. Like it's just everything just feels different. It doesn't mean that they're gonna win this year. It just means that what they're building with the culture, it's coming across to the fans, and everyone's starting to realize that something special can happen, and it's awesome.
Yeah, guys, they're gonna either face Buffalo in the first round or Tampa in the first round. So it's going to be tough sledding no matter what, and nobody in the East is going to have it easy. So all those matchups are going to be hard. Temper your expectations. Don't temper them. Just have fun.
Yeah.
Just watch the game. Have fun. This is the best hockey I've ever seen Montreal play. And I was a big fan of Koivu. I was a big fan of Kovalev. I was a fan of oh, geez, we've had some really bad teams, guys. But
Chris Higgins.
Desharnais and Chris Higgins as our top line. We haven't had this as Habs fans. So, savor it. Savor every moment. The east to west, the north to south, they play everything creatively. They play fun hockey to watch. So I really think this is something that you should watch. Yeah, go ahead, Junior.
I just to twist it a little bit into a fantasy perspective, how do you rank these four players? So Caufield, Suzuki, Slafkovsky, and Hutson. If you were to rank them 1 to 4 as best fantasy value to worst, which is still good, but out of these four, how would you rank them from 1 to 4?
Well, personally, I would probably say Lane Hutson is number 1, simply because of position. So even though he doesn't have the most points, his position is so scarce when it comes to high-scoring players that him being in the top 3 of defensemen is more impressive to me than any of the other guys. But let's be honest, a close second and third, Suzuki and Caufield is right there. Caufield 50 goals, I think, is second in the league or
second in the league. McDavid has
second in the league.
Yeah.
McKinnon
has 52.
McKinnon, yeah.
Suzuki 100 points is top 5 or top 6 in the league.
Top 5. He's 5th in the league at 101 points.
Off the top of my head, and remember that listener said that we don't know our stats. It's impressive, guys. It's really, I've never thought of how good this Habs team is. I'm not saying they're gonna win. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna be one of those fans that is already planning the parade. Because it's tough sledding in the East, like I said, but I'm just enjoying watching this team play. So much fun.
Agreed.
All right. There is some bad news, though, in Habs land. And that bad news is that Noah Dobson is going to be out for 2 weeks at least. Sounds like some sort of fracture in his thumb because he blocked a shot with his thumb. It's not confirmed that it's that. They just say upper body injury at this time of the year. But I mean, we have eyes. We could see what's going on here. And they had to call up David Reinbacher, who got his first point, by the way, today. Played only 11 minutes of ice time, but to be expected, he did have 2 AHL games back-to-back right before today. So this is his third game in 3 nights. So good for him for even playing. That's the bad news on the Dobson front, because we definitely need Dobson for the beginning of the playoffs. And those Habs fans that don't think Dobson does a lot, you're going to realize how valuable Dobson's 27 or 28 minutes a night is when you don't have Dobson in the lineup. And Hage is returning to Michigan. Now, guys, I know another player that returned to his college team instead of signing with the Habs, and that was Cole Caufield. So it's not a bad developmental path for him to go back and try to win a natty. Just saying. Vince, What's your thoughts on this Dobson injury? What's your thoughts on Reinbacher and Hage returning to Michigan?
Dobson injury is unfortunate, especially that we kind of stayed our top four. Besides goalie, our top three defensemen stayed healthy all year, so it's going to be an adjustment for Montreal. Hopefully, it is only 2 weeks and he can come back and be the Dobson we need, but it's gonna hurt. I mean, to have Struble and Jack dressed both in your lineup could be a weakness for the Montreal Canadiens come playoff time. So hopefully it's just the 2 weeks. For Reinbacher, this is his opportunity. He's had a really good AHL season, and I don't think they're going to ask him to do too much. I think they're just going to ask him to be responsible defensively, play a good defensive game, make that good first pass, and that's it. They're not expecting him to go out there and put up 3 points a game. I think they want him to be just really solid in defense and like try to minimize his mistakes. So hopefully he can do that, and this could be an opportunity for him to prove that next year he should be starting with the team instead of being sent down to the AHL. So it's an opportunity for Reinbacher, and hopefully he takes it and runs with it. As for Hage, I'm okay with Hage going back to college. I'm really okay with that. Like I've seen some Habs fans lose their minds over it, but I'm okay with it. He needed. It wasn't a decision that was made solely by Hage or solely by Montreal Canadiens. It was a discussion that they had, and the discussion that they had was that Hage felt that he had still things to learn in the NCAA, and the Habs didn't stop him from that, which is fantastic for me because we're in a place. The Habs are in a place where they can have their young players develop more. The more developed they are before they come to the NHL, the better it is for them. And this just means to me that in the offseason, I think Hughes is going to try and go out there and get a top six forward for the meantime. Now, will he succeed? We don't know. But I think that's the plan, is that they were okay with Hughes going back to the NCAA because he's got a plan of going to pick up a top six forward in the offseason.
Interesting.
Where were they going to place him? Like, I know everyone's shitting on Oliver Kapanen, but like, give me a break, man. The guy has 22 goals this year in his rookie season where nobody expected anything from him. Carried the second line with Demidov. Now that he kind of hits a wall, people are like saying he's worthless and Hage has to come in. Hage wasn't never going to be the number 2 center guys on this team this year. Never. The guy's not ready to play in the NHL yet. You could tell. He's still frail. He's still small. Give him that extra year. He wants to go. Let him go. Let him play. His brother's going to join him. Then you take him on next year when you're right before you hit the playoffs. You grab him in. You add an influx of youth to your team, kind of energizes you a bit, and you see where he fits. Danault's still under contract. Newhook's still under contract. Kapanen's still under contract. Where on earth is he going to play center on that line on that roster? So he was probably going to end up on the wing anyway. So I love this move. I think it's great that he's going back to Michigan. He's going to be number 1 center now over there. Mm-hmm. He's gonna be a leader on that team. He's gonna grow physically, mentally. I love it. I think this is the best outcome possible. Even though I'm dying to see him with the Habs, I think this was the best outcome possible, and I'm not panicking at all that he might not sign with the Canadiens. Like, yeah, this was his dream. I mean, come on. Unless something drastic happens here, he's going to be a Montreal Canadien by the end of next year.
Yeah.
As for Ryan, go ahead, Nick. Sorry.
No. I love what you were going to say. I agree with everything you said there. I think that we have a tendency of like rushing these guys because we're so excited to see them that you forget like these guys are so young. They could really use an extra year of dominating. It's good for the development. It's not, you can't over ripen a Michael Hage by sending him back to college for 1 more year. So I just wanted to add that. But go ahead, please finish your
I was
thought.
just going to add that, it's just a short sample size with Reinbacher, but the one thing that stood out to me today was his poise. Like, he's very poised with the puck, even under pressure. I really like he seemed confident, which is excellent news for the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, I think he just needs to show that he could take a hit, that he could not be injured during playing 15, 20 minutes a night.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's going to be it's a little bit of a downturn. Defense was already a little bit of a weakness for us. Gouli hasn't played in the last 5 games. He's recovering from something as well that hasn't been really spoken about.
Well, he played today.
Oh, he played today? Okay.
Yeah, he played today.
I didn't watch today's game, so sorry. Greek Easter was in the way. There was lamb, there was ouzo, there was all kinds of stuff going on, right? But yeah, so yes. So if Gouli played today, that's good. But he's been out of it for a while as well. I think they were hoping to save him for the playoffs a bit. So we'll see. We'll see. Moving on. Away from the Montreal Canadiens is going to be our next topic, because away from the Montreal Canadiens went TJ Hughes, because he signs with Colorado. So, I mean, you can't blame the kid. I can't blame the kid. TJ Hughes was one of those NCAA free agents that was coming in highly rated. We've seen a couple of these, like me and Vince spoke about last week, where VCs and these guys, some of them turned into like legitimate NHLers, probably though bottom 6 NHLers. TJ Hughes signs with Colorado. How do you blame a kid for going to the potential Stanley Cup champion, right? Junior, I started with Vince for all the Habs topics. Now I'm going to start with you for a couple here. TJ Hughes, what are your thoughts? What could he turn into? Is he fantasy relevant playing in Colorado?
I think when you go on a firepower team like the Colorado Avalanche, you always have a little bit more fantasy value, just for the idea that if ever he gets a chance on that top line, what's it going to look like? I think he's more of a middle 6 guy. It might end up being a third-line player, I think, in the foreseeable future. I think it's an excellent fit for Colorado, who doesn't have as many prolific prospects coming up, especially at the forward position. So he has opportunity. He's on a high-scoring team, and he's got some tools that can make him successful in the NHL. So I kind of like it. It's hard to tell what he's going to be, but I think in deep leagues he can probably help you. I would definitely take a chance on this kid, just knowing the fact that he's going to Colorado. But my expectations are tempered, for sure.
How long of a contract did he sign?
Right now he signed to go. I think it's an ATO, and I think it only officially starts next year because he went to the AHL.
Okay, so that's it. Listen, he had a marvelous university career. I mean, 36 points his first year, 48, 38, and this year 57. Now 57 points, 22 goals, 35 assists at 24 years old. So he's playing against 19, 20-year-olds. So the advantage is always there when you're a little older. But like you guys said, he chose wisely, because there was a lot of teams that were interested in him. So he chose a team where the pressure wouldn't be fully on him to produce offensively, and that he can just come in and play with unbelievable talent in Natchez or McKinnon. So fantasy relevance right now, I don't see it. I need to see him play in the NHL first. If you're in a dynasty league team, then yeah, maybe you take a chance on him. But how much are you trying? How many years would you risk on him? Like I'm talking, like in our Llamas, he'll be a free agent. In our Llama League, he's a free agent. How many years do you think you're gonna risk, because there'll be a battle for this kid to be signed with your team? So to me, he's not a sure thing. So I would, for now, I don't think he'll be a fantasy relevant.
Vince, just to answer your question, he signed a 1-year ELC contract that only begins next year, so he can't play with Colorado this year. That's
this
why
year,
he's with the AHL team.
And next year is just 1 year. That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, talking about potential Hobey Baker winners, TJ Hughes was not one, but Max Plante was. Detroit Red Wings prospect Max Plante, who Dauber has his fantasy upside at 7.5 out of 10. NCAA shoots left, was a second-round pick in 2024 for the Detroit Red Wings. He wins the Hobey Baker. What do we think about Max Plante, Junior again, moving forward here for Detroit? Does this kid have a legitimate shot at being fantasy relevant? Should our listeners be targeting him if he's available in your leagues?
He's definitely a prospect with high enough upside that you could target. Let me just see here 1 second. I want to say, oh, there he is. Just to give you a few stats here, he won the Hobey Baker because he got 52 points in 40 games this year. 25 of those were goals. According to Dobber Prospects Frozen Tools, it's an NHLE of 47. But, Detroit could use a bit of offensive punch, youth offensive punch, like the Comforts, the Cops. Their time is due. Like, they need a little bit more than just that. Again, his fantasy upside, according to Dobbs, like you said, is only 7.5. I would love for it to be 8.5. But he's a high-paced playmaker who shows flashes of elite hockey sense. But his lack of size and his inconsistency are what kind of give him a bit of an obstacle, and why people don't think he can be as good as he can show at times. So it's almost like a boom or bust for me. This guy is either going to be elite or he might end up just being a bust. That's how I see it. So it's hard to gauge, to tell you the truth.
Okay, Vince,
Also,
I'm
gonna.
I was gonna ask you a little something.
I'm listening.
Forgetting a little bit about Max Plante, because I think Junior said it pretty well there. What about the Iser plan?
I think the Iser plan is almost. I think he took it from the Bergevin plan, where apparently there is no Iserman plan and people just made it up. But Iserman's time is coming to is on thin ice in my perspective, because now what is it? 2 years in a row that they were in a playoff spot, and then last 3 weeks they blew it. And I mean, he's invested.
March has been bad.
Yeah, and he's invested in this team. Like, he got them Gibson, he got them veterans like Kane. So this Yaizer plan needs to work at some point, earlier than later. And I don't know. I'm a little worried about the Detroit Red Wings. I'm not gonna lie. The players are in place. So is it the right players are not in place? Is it the coach the problem? Is it? I don't know what the problem is in Detroit. It seems like every time March comes, they're in a really good situation, and then when March hits, they're just on a downfall that they can't recover from. So
Yeah, I mean,
he's on thin ice, that's for sure. I don't think he's as comfortable as he was at the beginning of the season on that GM chair.
so here's the things that, like, I went through. There's actually a really nice website called theiserplan.com. You could go ahead and share that with listener Rooks and all Detroit Red Wings fans. It's actually pretty funny. It shows all the trades and all the draft picks that are in the first round that Yzerman has done. And guys, there has been some really, really bad calls from Steve Yzerman when it comes to professional players that they've acquired.
Pro scouting.
The pro scouting, like the signing Robbie Fabry to a 3-year deal, going for Adam Ernie, like Jacob Vrana, on and on and on.
Andrew Copp.
The Andrew Copp hasn't worked out,
JT Compher.
Reimer, whatever. Anyways, long story short is that they've drafted actually pretty well. The Augustines, the Kosas, the Raymond, I think was, Raymond, of the world.
Casper
is still to be determined, right?
Yeah, but Cider, Arvidsson, Sandin Pelika. I mean, these are all great draft picks, but
Kosa, Augustine.
Yeah, that's what Nick was saying. It's just like you said. I think the pro scouting was just a little.
Everything else, the pro scouting side of things, is where he's really failed.
So I think I was talking about it with listener Rooks, because I don't like I think he's to blame for holding on to his prospects too much and valuing them too high. I think so. he was always in on the big free agents. He wanted Stamkos really bad, didn't get him. He wanted Marner really bad, didn't get him. And I'm missing a few here in the last 7 years. But I just feel like when you're an organization that's struggling to sign free agents, you can't hold on to your prospects and think they're worth the world. Like the Danielsons of the world, you can find a dime a dozen. I'm not saying he's not going to be good. I'm just saying that you don't need him right now. Go get someone you need to win now. Larkin's 30 years old, guys, next year. He's 30
Yeah.
years old.
But you've surrounded him with like JT Comfort for 5 years,
Right.
Justin Hole for 3 years.
That's what I think his problem was, is that he was too afraid to let go of some of these prospects. Even like
Jeff
maybe-
Petrie,
Yeah, come on. Appleton.
Sherrod.
He signed all these bottom sixers and hoped that one could take off playing with Raymond and Larkin, and they showed glimpses of that, but never. And look, Patrick Kane is one of their top scorers at 38 years old, almost 37 years old. If he doesn't play another season, who's taking those 56 points he got this year in 65 games? By the way,
Yeah.
So the pro scouting, there's like his amateur scouting, top notch. Honestly, among the best. Pro scouting is, like you said, is where they failed.
Well, Jay
And
Fresh
that
said it.
First round pick for Justin Falk, unprotected, which now goes into the lottery.
Jay Fresh mentioned it. He goes, the Yzer plan needs one more year. I don't know if they're going to be patient enough to give him one other year, but it needs one more year because you have a lot of good young guys that are going to be graduating this upcoming offseason, and they're going to be starting with the team next year. But the pro scouting has been so bad. It's actually, they say you don't rush your prospects, But if you surround your prospects with bad NHLers, you're not really helping them either, right?
Yeah.
So I just
What's
find
that
that
saying,
interesting.
Nick? They say that your biggest mistakes are always in the free agency. And
But even trades, like
signed,
they're not targeting the right people. It just seems,
No.
but it's not. It's just not working out for them. And I feel bad because I think Yzerman's one of the best players that I ever watched in my lifetime. I want him to succeed as well. But we've seen it with Wayne Gretzky too. Just because you're a good player does not mean you're going to be a good general manager or a good president either. So one does not translate directly to another.
So they're saying that he likely won't get fired. The most likely scenario is that he gets promoted to president of hockey ops, and Draper or Horkoff, which are part of the management, might get the GM job.
We'll see. We'll see. Anyways, I just wanted your take on that, guys. I know that we're half an hour in and we've only done about 4 topics, but these are important topics for listener Rooks, so we got to make sure we add them there. Guys, here's an important topic for us dynasty players. Okay, the next 4 guys I'm going to mention, maybe even 5. The next 5 guys I'm going to mention are all players that have made their NHL debuts. They're all highly thought of prospects, and everybody should know their names. Especially, most of them are probably already owned in Dynasty, but we should mention what they've accomplished so far. And if they're not owned in your league, go and get them right away. So let's start with James Hagens. Plays his first NHL game tonight. Gets his first assist. Guys, how high is the floor for James Hagens? How high is the ceiling? And are we talking about a potential point per game player in the future? Vince.
I don't know about point per game player. I think he'll be a number 1 centerman. I think he'll be a great combination of a Patrice Bergeron, who was very effective at what he was doing, very good two-way player. I just think his offensive side will be a little higher than Bergeron, but I think a point per game is a bit right now. I think it's pushing it a little. Can he get there? Maybe with the good surroundings, but I still think he's definitely a top line centerman who's going to be very responsible both ways and make his wingers better.
All right, Junior.
Yeah, he could get close. I think he could get close. He's too creative. He's too good of a playmaker to not get close to 82 points. I don't know if he's gonna be like that 30 goal scorer guy, but I don't. I can see him potentially getting 82 points, and they were a little bit patient with him. He's developed. He hit a bit of a snag this year, but uh, he fell to Boston at 9, a retooling team, or 7.
That's
He
7.
fell to Boston
7,
at
7.
7. So the one off year Boston has, they get a James Hagens. Give me a break. Uh, yeah, I think he can potentially be a point per game player, and if he's I mean, the opportunity is there. We're going to
Yeah.
talk about it on the fantasy lens because Boston is between 11 and 19 on Scott Wheeler's prospect pool ranking, and if you go through their depth chart at center, he's going to have the opportunity, and if he can build chemistry with Pasternak, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, so we're talking about Dauber Prospects has him at 9.0, which usually means about point per game or higher. So we'll see. We'll see what he actually turns into here. Frondell has 8 points in his first 9 NHL games. We've spoken about Frondell before, but I'm going to do the same thing, like 20-second hit from both of you guys, and then we'll move on to the next guy. So Frondell, what are we seeing so far? Does it make sense what he's doing? Are we very excited? Are we kind of not so excited? Lukewarm? Let's start with Junior this time.
I'm super excited. This guy was my draft crush, and it's satisfying to see that he's doing so well so soon. After my previous crush kind of stalled a little bit after being traded to Vancouver and Zeev Buyem. But Frondell, Blackhawks fans and fantasy GM should be super excited for Frondell. You asked me before, point per game. I was a bit hesitant for Hagens. I think Frondell is without a doubt a point per game player in this league.
Vince?
Yeah, same thing as Junior. I think he's the Barkov of the closest thing to what Barkov is right now, and that's what he could be. And I think he can be. He'll fluctuate between the 80 and 90 points per season. I think he's just got all the tools to do it, and he's on a great organization that he's going to be able to grow with the organization and all those young players and young talents they have. So yeah, 100%. I think he's a easy 80 between 80 to 90 point player.
So funny enough, Dauber Prospects has him rated at 8.5 out of 10. So less than Hagens, Frondell, but everybody has their own takes, so we'll see how that turns out. One thing about Frondell is that he has a much better shot, and that's the part that really interests me because as a potential fantasy owner of him, or a fantasy owner of him, or I should say owning shares of Frondell, which I'm very happy about, by the way. I don't know if you could tell. His shot is elite. So we'll see if that turns into like a potential goal-scoring player in the NHL and not just playmaking. So we'll see. He was 3rd overall in the 2025 draft year. Here's one that I'm curious about what you guys think, and I'll go straight to Vince because this guy looks like a Philadelphia Flyer through and through. Porter Martone, hold on. He has 7 points in 7 games.
He is the new generation Dino Ciccarelli. That's who he is. He will be a 40-goal scorer or more, and he won't get his goals by fancy pansy, or he's gonna get into those physical, dirty areas, and that's where he's gonna get his points and his assists and his goals, because he's a big boy who likes to use his body. I think Philly has such a gem here, and it seems like with him there, it kind of I don't know what the word is, but Michkov seems to be playing much better now that Martone is in the lineup. So it just feels good as a for Philly fans to see that 2 young players are reacting to each other positively. So yeah, I think he's the next like Dino Ciccarelli. We all remember in his Detroit days and Minnesota days, he was just hard nosed, go to the net, go to the dirty areas, and get the goals from there. And that's where I see him.
Yeah, there's not much to add to what Vince said. I'm just gonna say that he can be a power play beast as well. 3 out of the 7 points so far with the Flyers are on the power play. He has already 51% of that power play, so that's only gonna get better as he gets more minutes and more acclimated to the NHL. I want to see these guys make the playoffs. I want to see what Martone looks like in the playoffs. But yeah, this guy is definitely gonna make a lot of noise. He's definitely A+ prospect to own in fantasy dynasty leagues for sure.
Yeah, so Martone is also considered a 9.0 for Dauber. We have to call Dauber and ask him why he hates Frondell so much.
But I think he'll be more goals than points. You know, like he'll have value because of goals more so than total points.
Yeah, I think Dauber also counts hits as a category. Like he doesn't look only at point production, but a 9.0 for him.
Oh, and he's a shooting machine, by the way. Just under 4 shots a game
Yeah.
on goal.
Actually, he says here that he could possibly be a 90 point according to his breakdown here. But anyways, whatever. Let's go here to Ilya Protas.
Out of curiosity, you got Frondell and Martone in the same league?
No, I don't have Martone.
Okay.
No. I tried getting him, but wasn't. I even tried getting James Hagens. That didn't work either. You know, whatever.
Now we know why.
Now we know why. Ilya Protas, guys, Washington. His brother has already shown that he could score in the NHL. Now this guy's coming in with 3 games played, 4 points already. What do we think about Ilya Protas, the younger Protas brother? Vince.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's 6'4" beast. I mean, when they put him, his brother, and Tom Wilson on the line, I mean, we spoke.
That was the biggest line in the NHL.
Yeah.
Holy moly!
It actually was the biggest line in the NHL.
Average height 6'5", average weight 220 pounds.
How does that not intimidate you? I think he'll be an NHLer. I think he could be a top sixer, but I don't see him hitting the 80-point threshold. I see him more of a 60 to 70-point player, but I see him more as a goal scorer than a playmaker like his brother. So he'll be there. He'll be a really good depth player for you on your team to have. He might pull that one season where he'll be out of his standards, but I think he's definitely NHL and definitely a top 6.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. He's definitely an NHLer. He was almost a point per game player with the Hershey Bears in the AHL. He had 124 points with the Windsor Spitfires in the OHL in 2024-2025. But yeah, I don't think he's going to be one of those point per game players. I don't think he's at the level of the previous guys we spoke about in Frondell, Hagens, and Martone. But I do think he can make enough noise in the NHL that he will be fantasy relevant. I just think he's less goals, more playmaking for this Protas as opposed to Alexei, who's like a 30-30 player, 30 goals, 30 assists.
I think you guys disagreed on that one then. That's funny. Fantasy upside for this Ilya Protas is, according to Dauber Prospects, 8.0. So Junior, Dauber seems to agree with you. A little bit less point production, but still quite relative when it comes to relevant. I'm starting to talk like Vince. Jesus.
No.
Quite relevant when it comes to dynasty fantasy hockey. Let's go to the next Washington Capitals superstar that just started. And this is one I do own, Junior. So I own this one and Frondell. And this is Cole Hutson. 10 points in his first 13 games played as a defenseman. Junior, is this like... I mean, we've seen what Lane could do. What are we thinking about Cole's fantasy upside?
It's probably just as good as Lane's. You know, I don't think I would have said that before seeing him in the NHL, but seeing him now in the NHL, I know it's only 13 games, but you could just tell by his confidence that he's going to be really, really good. And he's only seeing 48% of the power play, so not quite 50% just yet. And half his points, more than half his points, 6 out of 10 points is on the power play. John Carlson's no longer there. They still have Jacob Chikrin, but they do run 2 defensemen on that power play. So that doesn't worry me one bit. Lane Hutson's the real deal, man. This guy's gonna be.
It's not Lane.
He's gonna be
We
a
know
stud.
We know Lane Hudson's the real deal. It's Cole Hutson.
Cole Hutson. Jesus.
Yeah, I agree with Junior. I think he's a star in the making. He might not come out of the gate like his brother because he's like we said in the other episode. Chitrim's still there, but he's a star. He belongs, and he's making his place on this team. So it's great to see.
Yeah, so Dauber has his fantasy upside at 8.5. So similar to Frondell's fantasy upside, um, but as a defenseman here. So a little bit position difference, but yeah, it's another good one. Dylan Guenther hits 40 goals. He was a big trade piece for you, Junior, when it came to the what you gave up in order to get Kucherov. I know you're not sad about having Kucherov instead, but like, what can you tell me about Dylan Guenther's fantasy upside here? Because this player just seems like every time I look, he's scoring a goal.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. He's got one of the best shots in the league, and he's only 23 years old. I've loved him since his draft year. I could tell just in the preseason games that he was playing with Arizona at the time, he was just a natural goal scorer, and he was all showing up on the score sheet. And you don't put too much thought into preseason, but when we did our inaugural draft for loose pucks, I was just like, I see him too often. He's got a sick shot. He's got to be relevant, and I drafted him, and I'm being rewarded, man. This guy's he's at 40 goals. And he just gradually gets better and better and better every year. His 2 seasons with Utah so far, 60 points last year in 70 games with 27 goals. This year in 78 games, he's at 39 goals, 72 points. So I wonder what next year has in store for him. Can he hit 50? I don't know. The better Utah gets, maybe the closer he gets to that 50.
Not much to add, Vince, or what do you
No,
want to
he's
tell
a
us
pure
about Guenther?
he's a pure goal scorer. There's nothing to add from what Junior said. He's a superstar in this league.
Well, I want to mention that we do wish the next player that we're going to talk about all the best, because he is out for personal reasons right now, is Victor Hedman, who's been a superstar in this league for so long. Tampa Bay is missing him right now. But Vince, what can you tell me about Victor Hedman and basically who replaced him, which is Darren Radish? What can we talk about here with Victor Hedman?
I think Darren Radish replaced him for the offensive side of his game because he was such a complete player, defenseman, Hedman, like a top 3 every year. That was very difficult for one player on that team to replace him. But I think Radish replaced his offensive output, and I think JJ Moser replaced his defensive responsibilities with McDonough and other players. So, listen, Hedman's 37, close to 40. Uh, he's been fantasy relevant. Besides this year, the previous years has been fantasy relevant, and it's just how good he is. Do I think he'll be fantasy relevant in the coming years? No, I think I think he's past his time now. I think the torch has been passed in Tampa Bay. Hopefully, what he's going through right now is nothing serious. I mean, we don't have any news on what's going on. But like you said, Nick, we wish him the best. But he's been a gladiator in this and for Tampa Bay and in the NHL for so long that I mean it's a first ballot Hall of Famer hands down.
Yeah, we wish him well, and I'm just curious to know what the end of his contract looks like. He still has 3 seasons left at $8 million. What does Tampa Bay do there? I'm curious to see how it all plays out. They're never scared to get rid of a player when they feel like their time is due. It'd be a little shitty, pardon my expression, if it happened at the end of this year, considering what he's possibly going through right now. But, it's a cutthroat league, and sometimes these decisions are made. At the end of the day, we just wish that him and his family is well.
Yeah, just to be clear, nobody said that Tampa is getting rid of him. This is all just TMZ Junior's take.
No, but
Next,
you saw they did it. They let go with Stamkos. Like they do it when they feel
yes,
like
they'll
If
let
they're
go.
healthy. Yeah.
Yeah,
he's
so
36. He's going to be 36 next year.
that's right. Ron Francis steps down as the GM in Seattle, and let's be honest, Ron Francis, my friends, is the definition of mid. His
Definition
teams,
of the Seattle Kraken.
the every team that he has had gets better when he leaves. So Seattle, there's upside here. There's upside. I mean, look, he tends to get a lot of prospects. He'll find prospects that are defensive oriented, that play a good 200-foot game, but doesn't really get that superstar sometimes. And in Carolina, he built a team that was always mid. And then when he left, that team just exploded and kept going forward. Now, I'm not saying that it's necessarily his. Like, a lot of the guys that he drafted are still there today. So he's not bad in that sense, but he just doesn't seem to get that superstar every time. And Seattle's the same thing. It's the jury's still out on Brooklyn Catton, but Seattle didn't really do a good job in the expansion draft, did they? Like, I remember saying Vegas really
did
pushed
it.
people.
Well, no, they did a good job because the first year I think they made the playoffs and
They
and
upset Colorado.
they went in a few rounds in the first year that they existed. But the problem was
but
the year.
they didn't sustain that though.
No, the problem was the year after. That's saying Vegas sustained it because they invested in their team. The problem with Seattle was after that he went to sign players almost a bit like he was like the Chandler Stevensons, uh, the like Nick said, the two-way players that you need on your team, but you need that superstar player, which unfortunately he couldn't get in his tenure as a GM with Seattle.
Well,
He's like-
Shane Wright never turned into that, right? And
Well,
they were
wait,
really
like,
expecting him to.
he's
to
still
turn
young.
into something.
Yeah, he's still young, but yes, Shane Wright was one player that they drafted fourth. There's like even Evans Riker, they're still waiting to see. The jury's still out to see what they can do with him. Like Junior said, Catton also. It's the little things that I feel he wouldn't take a chance on superstar players because he'd rather have the safe pick, the safe player that will play a good defensive game. And unfortunately, right now in the way the NHL is going, you need those 1-2 like full out offensive players on your team to go anywhere.
They only have one player in over 50 points, and it's Jordan Eberle at 36 years old.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. Like I don't want to compare him to Steve Yzerman, but it seems like here, like the pro scouting could use an upgrade. They drafted relatively well. We'll see what Shane Wright looks like in a couple of years, but
Really, relatively well.
they got Jake O'Brien. They have Berkeley Catton.
Okay, recently you're saying that they have a couple of guys that might.
Yeah, well, hold
Well,
on, I had it closer here, but
like Beniers.
yeah, well,
Benier's third overall they picked, which wasn't.
They ruined the kid. The kid had 53 points in his rookie season. Looks very promising, and he turned into a 40-point player.
yeah,
Like,
they seem to rush their young guys a little because they're so starved for offense. I feel like they rushed Beniers, they rushed Berkeley Catton. Shane Wright, to a certain extent, could have developed further before being given a more prominent role, But yeah, it's they've got a long way to go, Seattle.
Definition of mid, my friends. All right, talking about a team that's been mid for a while, even though for a streak there, they were winning every offseason. They were always the offseason champions, making the big splashy move, grabbing the big player. But Tom Fitzgerald has been let go by the Devils. And the Devils just can't seem to put it all together. They have pieces everywhere. They just can't put it all together. And ultimately, it cost Fitzgerald his job. One that sticks out to me maybe is the Timo Meier deal. That one does not look good, and he still has many years left at $8-point-something million. There's a couple of others that I could bring up, but I'll let you guys talk about it. Junior, what can you tell me about the Devils? And when can we get the Devil State of Mind podcast back on this podcast?
Anytime Neil wants to join us, he's more than welcome. We'll have him for sure.
We need to send him out an invite soon.
I think Markstrom hasn't lived up to the expectations of what they thought he'd be when they acquired him.
Very true.
It never helps when your superstar is out half the games every year. He misses half a season. That takes a toll. I don't think this team was badly built. I think it was a mix of things. Like every year there was just something. If it wasn't Jack Hughes being injured, then it was the goaltending, and if it wasn't the goaltending, it was Dougie Hamilton, or so like there was just always something. I don't think changing the GM is gonna drop them. I don't think they're gonna be like a non-playoff team next year. I think if they just tweak a few things, they can still manage to compete in that division. I don't think this is like Seattle where they kind of have to. They have a lot of work to do. New Jersey is a few changes away from being who we thought they were.
You guys are so avoiding the elephant in the room. He couldn't get Quinn Hughes to come home, and that is why he got let go. But at the end of the day,
where are you going to play him? You're going to play Quinn and Luke together and then put Jack on forward at the same time and then just...
Yeah, but what do you mean where are you going to play Quinn? You play Quinn as your number one.
Okay.
You have Dougie Hamilton right now as your number one. Do you see what Quinn is doing with Minnesota?
No, you've been playing Luke Hughes a lot more.
Well, no, but now because he was injured. He's back. But... Yeah, and he's out. Even Luke Hughes, all the Hughes brothers, it seems like they only want to play 60 games a year and not more. But no, I think with Fitzgerald, just he rebuilt this team to the highest capacity that he could, and now it's time for someone else to come in and just build on what he built. He didn't build something bad here. He just misproportion with injuries, and like Junior said, Markstrom had a good first year in New Jersey, but after that, they were very deceiving his other years. So he's built a good foundation. So now it's for someone else to come and build off of that foundation. So we'll see how that works. But I don't see New Jersey missing the playoffs next year on a full healthy squad.
Sorry, Nick, I mentioned a few things that happened with the Devils, but even like this year, Pesci being out for so long didn't help either. That was a big fish they went to get. No pun intended.
I think Jake Allen contract is probably the best contract in the NHL because this guy was slated to be the backup. He basically turned.
He played more. One. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And he's. I think he has 3 more years at under.
They both. I think. Yeah, I think they both. Even Markstrom still has 2 more years. So
Markstrom has 2 years left, $6 million apiece.
Yeah.
And Jake Allen, well, he signed that 7-year contract, 5-year. He's got 5 years, so 4 more years after this.
So 4 more years.
You still have Markstrom, who hopefully could turn it around next year with a fully healthy lineup. New Jersey can be a very dangerous team in that division. So it's going to be a wait and see for next year.
The average age of their goalie tandem is 35 and a half.
Yeah.
Okay, well, guys, as of right now, Toronto has a first round pick
Oh,
in the top 5.
Woo!
So it's going to suck when Florida or some other team wins the lottery and pushes them to number 6. But I digress. Toronto right now has the first round pick. And you know what? So does Florida. Like how bad of a mess up was this for Toronto? Like I'm sorry, but I don't want to harp on it too much. Like already, all of our Toronto friends have said they don't want to talk hockey for the rest of the year. They've solely moved on to baseball, and that's not really helping them much either. But like, you're a bad team. You're gonna be a bad team most likely again, and you don't have a first round pick this year, possibly, and the owner doesn't know who the prospects are, and your owner is a corporation that all they care about is making sure you get to the playoffs at least once in a while to make some money and selling jerseys. So,
Wow, Nick, that's
no, I had a full conversation. I'm telling you, I had a full conversation with one of my good friends who's been a lifetime Toronto Maple Leaf fan. And he basically said it. He goes, the suits is basically what's going to ruin Toronto sports because they're owned by a corporation and they run it like a corporation. They don't run it like a team that needs to win.
Well, that's what they say. They say even when you go watch a Toronto game, physically the tickets are all sold out, but in the arena, it's like there's nobody there sometimes because it's all corporates. It's all people giving their tickets to clients who don't know hockey or whatnot. So I think it's so important that Toronto gets their first round pick this year if they want to make this retool fast. Because if they stand number 5 or higher, they'll get a really good. At the end of the day, you're drafting a defenseman, so they'll get a really good defenseman. Like you're getting Chase Reed, you're getting Tristan Verhoff, or you're getting Alex Smith. So you're getting one of these 3 guys if you're drafting top 5.
Could be Carroll's.
Carroll's too. You know, like you have 4 guys so it's so important that they keep this top 5 pick for them because that is their building block from their defense that they don't have right now. So it's so important, but man, is it like gonna be awful if on May 5th something happens and they're not there. So
I really hope we could do the draft lottery live, by the way.
I think and as for Florida, look, Florida, we know they're going to be competitors next year. They lost their best player in Barkov for the full season, and now they'll have a top 10 pick, which once again they will get a good young player that they can put in the prospect pool. So it's a win-win right now for Florida. For Toronto, they really need to just lose their next 2 games and hope that the lottery doesn't hurt them.
Guys, watch Florida win the lottery and pick McKenna. And just put
Man.
McKenna on up
so
there with put McKenna, Barkov, and Matthew Tkachuk or Reinhardt or whoever the jeez.
guys, but like let's be fair also because COVID really damaged this team. The COVID and the cap staying flat for a couple of years.
The cap staying flat
destroyed
really
the plan of this team. And yes, they still had the likes of Nylander, Matthews, Tavares, and so on. But when the cap stayed flat, they couldn't really build around that. They couldn't fill the holes they needed to properly. And then I think they overthought it and everything ensued. Changes of the coach and then losing Marner for almost nothing and now hiring Berube, thinking they have to be tougher to play against. And at the end of the day, their formula might have been right. It was just met with unprecedented cap, a flat cap. So it's tough. They need way more than just a defenseman, though, guys. I don't know who's playing center for this team after Austin Matthews. How much longer can you rely on a John Tavares to play center? So they've got quite a bit of work to do.
Yeah, I mean, when you fire your GM because he says that he's going to trade away one of the core four, and then the following year you lose the core four player anyways for almost nothing, and then you fire Shanahan because he lost the core four player for almost nothing, or part of it was the reason. It just like a vicious circle. You don't know what you're doing. And kind of it shows sometimes, unfortunately, when your owner gets meddles a little bit too much.
That's it. And comes full circle, right? When it's run by a corporation like that, that's what you get.
That's right. All right, guys. Philly needs one more win to clinch the playoffs. Junior, what can you tell me about Philly and how we spoke about Martone already? We spoke about Michkov. Like, is this a big win? I'm just gonna say it out there because I know Vince doesn't like him. For Talkett as coach.
I think, given the circumstances, this is a win. I think you need to also take into account that the division wasn't great this year. So, in a regular year, does Philadelphia make the playoffs? I'm not sure. But again, every year there's going to be surprises, right? And you got to make the most of them. And they did. They're not quite in just yet, but they're very close. Zegras was nice. Zegras was really good this year under Talkett. I think they gave him the liberty he needed to succeed. He's got 66 points in 80 games. So not only did he stay healthy, but he produced enough to be relevant, and that goes a long way for Trevor Zegras. Just happens to be a contract year as well, so that contract's going to be interesting too.
Yeah, their differential is at like +4, which is the lowest in playoffs teams in the East. So, yeah, I'll give credit to Talkett. He brought this team into the playoffs. He made that Trevor Zegras rejuvenate his career. But once again, like Nick said, I think that division was weak already. So, them making it, but you got to give him credit. He made the playoffs, and on his dossier is going to say first year with Philly, he made the playoffs.
Not yet, but almost.
Center depth chart, and he doesn't always play center, is Zegras, Dvorak, Cates, Couturier.
It's not. It doesn't scream like
Vladar's been their most consistent goalie.
I think that was the biggest signing for them was Vladar. A solid
Sanheim and Ristolainen on the back end. Yeah. Like, I don't know how. Like on paper, you're like what, but
it'll be interesting. The first round will be interesting.
Another team that's looking like they might clinch is LA. So this team lost a big piece after trading for a big piece, and they're one win away from a playoff spot. Junior, what can you tell me about LA?
I'm really happy for Kopitar. I think he deserves to go out winning. I mean, they might not win the cup, but making the playoffs is a win. And he had an underwhelming year, 36 points in 64 games. But, Panarin hasn't skipped a beat since joining the LA Kings. And I think that's very promising going forward. They might have lost Liam Greentree in the trade, but, they're a weird team, I find, the LA Kings. They leave a lot to be desired, but they have some offensive punch in Kempe and Panarin that could flip a game on a switch. So, and look out for Byfield too next year. So, it's a weird team, but I'm kind of happy they made it, or they're about to make it.
For
Kopitar.
They need some goaltending. Their differentials are -21, and their first opponent is going to be the Colorado Avalanche. So they're going to need a hell of a defensive system, and they're going to need their goalies to show up in the playoffs to make it even a competitive first round. But like Junior said, with Kopitar's last year, Panarin has fit well. But once again, you're going to be playing the Colorado Avalanche. That is not an easy task. So we'll see how it goes, but I don't see them going much further than that.
Guys, first time ever, New York Islanders, New York Rangers, and the New Jersey Devils are all missing the playoffs at the same time. All three of these teams had down seasons, although Islanders came the closest out of everybody, I guess. Firing Roy did not give them the boost that they needed, it looks like, to actually make the playoffs. Rangers with their... we need to rebuild because Drury already messed up this team, so he's going to try to rebuild again. And then, obviously, the Devils with Fitzgerald. We already spoke about Fitzgerald getting fired. It's kind of unprecedented for all these New York area teams to be out, and then another New York area team in Buffalo Sabres being in. Guys, I know it's not really much I could speak of here, but do you guys have any comments on all these New York area teams missing the playoffs?
No. Well, listen. Next year, the East is going to be interesting again. I mean, they're all going to come back guns blazing next year. I just hope the Rangers don't win the lottery. I'm done with that. I'm done with the Rangers winning the lottery. I think out of all three of those, we had the Islanders who the least chance of making the playoffs at the beginning of the year, and they actually had the best chance of making the playoffs out of these three teams. So it was a weird season for those three teams. We'll see how they go next year, but I feel a bounce back from New Jersey is a guarantee. From the Rangers, I'm not sure. Honestly, it all depends what they do in the offseason with some of their players.
Yeah, I think the Devils probably make it back next year. The Islanders probably get close. Yeah, I don't think we'll see this play out again next year.
All right, guys. Usually we do a word from our sponsor here, but instead we're going to do a word for our podcast. And in particular, this word is for our Battle Royale playoff fantasy pool. And we will be sending out invites to people that want to join. Guys, if you are listening to this and you want to join our playoff pool, it is an elimination playoff pool. So every round, if you're not in the top half of the teams in points, you will be eliminated. And then the winner moves on to the next round. We'll get you more details on all of that. But first, if you're interested in joining us, please, whether it's by DM or whether it's by email or however you get in contact with us, send us your email address and we'll send you out an invite to join our Battle Royale PB Fantasy Playoff Pool. Oh, you found the song.
Yes.
That's our Battle Royale anthem.
That's right. Glad to hear it again. I haven't heard it in a while, so it should be fun. Now moving on to the final update of PBLL. Vince, take it away.
Second to last time.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the PBLL update. So once again, Vito P is standing strong in first place, but we did have a change in second place. Bo Knows dropped to third. Drew 22 with a 30-point week dropped to went up to second. That was a long one. Went up to second, so he's 60 points behind Vito P. There's 1 week left in the NHL season. I think he'll kind of need a bit of a miracle to catch up to Vito P. I think we can crown Vito P as the champion of first ever PBLL, but we'll do that next week.
Wow, did you just jinx him?
Yeah, imagine.
Wow,
But
if he
listen,
loses, you're at fault, Vince. Nick,
second
what are you
place is
doing?
still-
Put all
seriously,
these buttons.
Second, he's just pressing buttons just to press buttons.
He's
Second
trying
place
to throw
is
Vince off.
yeah.
Vince is
Second
trying to go
place is
fast because he
still,
wants to end the episode. We keep it under.
Yeah. Nick,
Keep interrupting.
when it's Nick not talking, then we gotta close the episode at an hour, and then when it's not him, he just presses the buttons. All right, so second place is still in play. Yeah, exactly. Bo Knows is 4 points away, and David Hockey is only 9 points away from second place. So there's still ways to go for second place this week. We have 6 teams that play 3 games: Colorado Avalanche, LA Kings, San Jose, Seattle, St. Louis, Winnipeg. I'm not gonna ask Nick what he's doing because apparently he wants the episode to end, so we're just gonna end it. But the Colorado Avalanche, I'd go with some of their players. Just be careful. Teams that have already clinched, they're probably gonna sit some of their star players. So at the end of the day, we're just gonna go with teams that are either fighting for a playoff spot because they're gonna dress their stars, or teams that have nothing to play for and are gonna play open wide hockey. So for the last week, good luck to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck, everybody. And please, Vince, can you give us a final dad joke of the week?
No, not with your attitude.
Good enough for me.
What do you call a pig with 3 eyes?
Oh boy.
Pig.
There's a spelling there.
P-I-I-I-G. Yeah, look at you, huh? You got it?
We could have done without that one. All right, guys.
We could have done without you in this episode.
Maybe I won't be there next time.
Maybe.
You might not. Oh, that's it. We're off air. Okay, that's it. Everybody's off. And that's it. Have a good week, everybody. Thanks for being along for the ride. This is the last week of the regular season. We wish you the best of luck in whatever championships you have left. And the playoff battle royale, baby. It's around the corner. Stay tuned to our social media at Partial Break Pod for any updates regarding the playoff pool battle royale. Yeah.
This song's a banger.
We never listened to it this long.
I should start this like midway through the episode. All right, guys. Have a good one.
I think you pissed off Vince. He's going to miss next episode.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic.